G'day guys, welcome back to our AFL tipping. We're up to round 6 this week. Flash Crow had an amazing round and was really unlucky not to get the 9 out of the 9. I got 5 out of 9. I went for a couple of roughies last week. But anyway, if you like the videos, please like and subscribe. Also, make sure you go over to Flash Crows and like and subscribe on his channel as well. As usual, I'll be giving my insight, and then down below I'll be giving Flash Crows tips as well. We'll just do a quick recap on what happened last weekend. We had a fantastic effort by the Crows, who absolutely blew Carlton off the park. Really looking good at the moment. Adelaide Crows, they've got a team of nobodies, and they're all somebody at the moment. They're playing fantastic. That's why I've always liked Adelaide Crows. I always like their team structure. You can take one player out and it doesn't affect them. They just put somebody else out of the sandful, and they know what to do. So Adelaide and Port Adelaide, mind you, have a structure that they get from the sandful. All the good AFL states have the same thing. That it doesn't matter whether you're playing under 8 or whether you're playing AFL. Everyone seems to know their role. Great win by Adelaide though. Freo just got over the Suns. Both of these teams are struggling, Suns particularly. The Suns don't win a game soon. I think Stewie Jew's gone. Sydney had a good win against Richmond. Richmond are in trouble. Lions thumped North Melbourne, but that's exactly what they need to do. But the biggest upset of the round was Essendon over Melbourne. Melbourne are really struggling without Gawn. Grundy's not doing it, particularly when he's got a ruck against two tall ruckmen on the opposition. So all this talk 2, 3 weeks, 5, 10 months ago about the ruck is not the most important position in the AFL is a load of rubbish. It is the most important. If you don't have 2 or 3 ruckmen and a couple of backups, you will not win a game. They ruck in the middle, they run in defence, they run in attack, they're always down the line, they're everywhere. They're like 2-metre midfielders. It's the most important position in any AFL team. Port had a good win against the Bulldogs. Bulldogs didn't play all that well, but Port at Adelaide Oval is always tough. Geelong smashed West Coast. Again, you've got to do this. West Coast kicked about 5 goals in the last quarter to make it look really respectable when the Cats put away their clubs and got in the car. The last quarter, most of the Geelong players were already in the car park. Then a really great game between the Giants and Hawthorn. Hawthorn should have won it, but again, lack of experience. Giants had, 2 seconds of brilliance from Heidelberg or Hindenburg or whatever. He took that absolute screamer of a mark and then went back and kicked a goal, and then also saved a goal from Impey. And then apparently the game of the match, the game of the round, which I thought was the worst game of the round between Collingwood and St Kilda. You listen to all the pundits turn around and go, oh, the reason why it's so this and that is that they're so close to each other. Well, if Collingwood is close to St Kilda, Collingwood are in a lot of trouble, and they should have beaten St Kilda by a lot more. So a dour game to finish off the round, probably the most boring game, even though St Kilda kicked 4 goals in the last 4 seconds. They really destroyed themselves. They missed so many goals, and Saints should have ruling that one. But anyway, let's get on to our picks for round 5. So we're starting off on the Friday at Optus Stadium. A very difficult game to pick here. Fremantle against Western Bulldogs. Fremantle at home. Bulldogs are not travelling all that well. But if anyone watched the game with Bontempelli, He's probably the most informed midfielder in the competition at the moment, and only for that fact, and because I'm not picking Fremantle ever again for the rest of my life, I'm going to go Western Bulldogs by 3 goals, 16, something like that. And then we go to Adelaide Oval on the Saturday afternoon, Port Adelaide against West Coast. Port Adelaide don't win this one at home against the West Coast Eagles, particularly after what Hinkley did with Kane, what's his name? Kane Corn Francis, standing up for his young player. If they don't get pumped up for that, well, then you can forget all about Port Adelaide. Like I said, I've got Port Adelaide in my 8. So Port to beat West Coast. They've got to win by 50 points. If they're not winning by 50 points, well, then they're not in the same tier. Then we go to Manuka Oval, all right, which is in Canberra. Terrible place, probably going to sleet or snow or something like that. But you got to go to the Lions against the Giants. The Giants haven't been playing very well. They're lucky to have a couple of moments of brilliance last week. Otherwise, they would have lost to Hawthorn, and they would have been on the bottom of the ladder. So Lions to absolutely smash the Giants. Then we go to probably what I think is a really great matchup where we've got the Geelong Cats and Sydney Swans. Geelong Cats are not going all that great. If you have a look at all their stats, they're struggling. Sydney, very young team, but they keep producing these 6'2" midfield running types. They're all the same, but geez, they put some pressure on you, and they've got a really great system. They've got a great coach. So this is a tough game for Geelong, and we're really going to see what Geelong are made of. They've had 2 easy wins against 2 easy teams, but when they actually come up against the pressure, they haven't looked good. So I'm going to go Sydney to win in GMHBA, which is unheard of. But let's go the Swans. I know that the Swans are missing all their back line, and they're missing Armity, I think his name is. I know all that. But the way that they played last on the weekend, without all of those players, still I think is better than Geelong. So I'm going to go Geelong. Geelong are starting to get their mojo back. Don't worry about that. But I think Sydney will pressure them. Hawks versus Adelaide. This would have been a close game last year, but Adelaide are absolutely flying at the moment. It is in Tasmania. Hawks always play better in Tasmania for some reason, but you can't go past the Crows at the moment. They're absolutely looking fantastic. All of their metrics is all top 4. So every year we say that there's a team that comes out from the top 15 and then fights back into the top 8, but it's looking like I think they're number 1, number 2 in all the things that you need to be in the top 4. So let's hope that they can keep doing that. So I'll go to Adelaide Crows there. Then a really tight game between Carlton and St Kilda. Now Carlton played pretty poorly last week. St Kilda would be ruining their loss to Collingwood. They're actually batting above their punching above their weight at the moment, St Kilda, in my opinion. So I think I love the way that St Kilda are playing. Again, they remind me of Sydney. Lots of little gun players that just run and tackle and put the pressure on and keep you doing that. But they're still lacking a little bit in their back line. They're still lacking in their forward line. So I just think that Carlton with Harry Curnow or Harry Mackay and are they both called Harry? Or I don't know. McCurnow and Mackay. I think if they get on a bit of a run, they looked a bit dangerous 2 weeks ago when they start kicking the ball to each other. But I can just see Mackay, just floating down the wing and taking the stress off Carlton and then kicking it to Curnow. So I think that's the go-to against the Saints, which are kind of small. But their backman did play a great game. Wilkie, he had a great game. So, but when you've got two of them, that's a little bit harder. Then on the Sunday, we go to Heritage Bank Stadium, which I think is the old Carrara or the old Metricon. Now it's called Heritage Bank. We got the Suns against North Melbourne. Well, if the Suns don't win this, Stewie Dew is gone. And this is a danger game for the Suns. But I'm going to go the Suns here. This might be the second win of their year. So we'll go for the Suns against the Roos. Then we go to MCG. We've got Melbourne against Richmond. So this could be an absolute shootout. But we're going to see where Richmond are at. And they're nowhere in the same league as Melbourne, who I still rate as the best team in the league. I don't know whether they're getting Gorn back. We haven't found out. We've got to make these videos early, so I'd like to, release it on the Friday afternoon, but no one will watch them. So I'm going to go Melbourne, and I think this could turn into a bit of a smashing against Richmond. Richmond's defence is pretty ordinary. 80% of their scores for the year have come in 2, 3, 4 quarters. So they've played well for 4 quarters and played pretty ordinary for 24 quarters. So Melbourne is a danger game for Richmond, particularly with their discipline as well. But I'm going to go Melbourne there. Could be a blowout. And then we've got Collingwood and Essendon. So here we're going to see what Essendon are really made of. So I do rate Collingwood, even though I don't like Collingwood. I rate them; they're a pretty good team. We'll see how what they try to do, what Brad Scott does with the Dacosses. Someone's got to start putting someone on them. And I said 3 weeks ago, you just got to put a fast player on them and say 2 meters. As soon as we get the ball, you run the other way. If we don't get the ball, you've got to follow them because they just make their own space. So as soon as someone holds them accountable, like the Lions did, we put Zorko on him and actually made him work for the ball. He still had 38 possessions or something like that, but we limited all his impact. He didn't hit anywhere near as many targets. So you just got to pressure these great players. And, he's only in his second year or something, and we're already calling him a great player. But this is a big chance for Essendon, but I can't go Essendon. I think Collingwood. But then again, we just saw last week that Essendon used their 2 ruckmen, Draper and Phillips, and Collingwood doesn't have any ruckmen. All right, I'm going to change that. This is going to be my roughie. I'm going to go Essendon to beat Collingwood in a really close game. So there we go. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope that your team wins on the weekend. Also, make sure you show some love to Flash Crow. I'll be putting his tips up during the video. We'll give you a recap of what's happened at the end of the video. Please like and subscribe. Go to the AFL. Have a great weekend. Hope your team wins. And we'll catch you in the next one. See you then.